and kind of add that functionality and sort of as an upgrade for desk brick. So not only is it heavier, but it can do more. And so then I was able to price it a little bit higher. And then with the glow cord brick, I had a glow cord brick that was transparent,
Okay.
because that's how the glow glows brightest. But we found like a new supplier that came out with these colored glows, so you can have a different variety of glow colors that look different in the light and they look different in the dark. And I was like, okay, this would be way cool. We could add a little extra value. And at the nightstand, that was kind of where my original problem was occurring, not being able to, find my cord, it being on the floor. With the glowing cord brick, it just glows lightly, so it's not going to like keep you up at night, but you'll be able to see it when the lights are off and it's dark. So it's like glow can be a little gimmicky for some products, but for my product, it actually has like a use. So I thought that'd be a cool addition.
I love it, man. I love that. What a great answer. Okay, so a couple of things I wanna touch on here quickly, because I feel like when we're talking about, especially building like a business with a physical product, it can be really easy to overlook some of these things. So do you feel like if you were to go back and give yourself some advice on like the manufacturing side, do you think like making sure the design was solid before going to the manufacturer would be like that advice, or is there something else you would tell yourself?
It's hard to say. I mean,
Mm,
everything kind of happens for a reason, right? And then if you're successful, it's like, well, maybe all those things needed to happen for me to get to this point. So
sure.
I think probably the first thing I would say to people is about that prototyping. Most people, I think, are going to try to get their intellectual property way too fast.
Okay.
And the problem with that is you don't really know if you're going to change your design and you're going to change
Mm,
things about your product. And so you might have to go, excuse me, you might have to go and actually find, you redo your patent. My patent cost me $15,000 plus,
wow.
several other design patents and whatnot, several $1,000s a piece. And luckily, I have stayed with my original design in my intellectual property, so I don't have to go get a new patent. But it's tricky because as soon as you disclose your invention and your idea, internationally speaking, that's it. You need to have your patent filed before you do your full patent filed, not a provisional patent, which is what you do in the USA, but the full patent. And so, I didn't get an international patent for my original product, and I'm glad that I didn't. And I wouldn't actually recommend to a lot of people to do that,
Okay.
especially with consumer products like mine, where the biggest market's going to be the USA. And so, yeah, there's a lot of intellectual property and strategic type decisions, but I would say probably to myself, do a little more prototyping before
Okay.
you start worrying about the patent, because I had filed that provisional patent and put things on file in the U.S. And so that's obviously findable for international patents, and so they'll see that I was working on it and stuff like that. So, but that would probably be the main thing, and then just go as fast as you can.
Mm,
I spent a lot of time probably sitting around and like researching stuff, and I needed to do more things and try more things and get more feedback from people and connect with more people and learn more about distribution and shipping and packaging, although packaging kind of doesn't come until a little bit later than people think as well. So yeah, those would be my main answers there.
I love that. Well, when it comes to the patent piece, I mean, what would you kind of think now, like looking back, like how much prototyping would you suggest somebody be doing before they start looking into the patent piece of it?
I mean, the thing about a utility patent is you can put a bunch of different designs in the
Mm,
utility patent. With a design patent, you're limited to one design, and it's just pretty much exactly how it looks. Very, someone can go around it quite easily by changing just one corner of the thing. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous how
mm,
easy they are to get around. But utility patents are a little trickier, and you can put a whole lot more in them, make a whole bunch of different claims, and then you can add continuation patents, which kind of expand on certain elements of what you've already done. But the trick is you have to kind of have something like that in the original patent. So
mm.
we did like 20 different designs and even like other aspects of it, which if you people want to look up my intellectual property, it's public information. But I'm not going to talk about them right now. But things we're working on in the future that will be little additions to the product. And we've been able to do that. In fact, we've even been able to look at new competitors that came out and then add additional intellectual property that protects my stuff, even though my stuff isn't what they created. So it's kind of a way to kind of get competitors off the market quickly. And actually, they've disappeared since I have done that.
I love it, man. I love that. Well, and there's something else you mentioned I feel like we need to make sure we touch on here. And it said you said that you wish you would have not researched as much and have done more. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, action is where it's at. I
Yeah.
mean, you can read all day, but as soon as you start doing something, you're just gonna have problems that you didn't anticipate and that no research is gonna be able to tell you. So,
Hmm.
thinking in theory is one thing, sitting in school, all that. But yeah, what do employers look at? Your work experience. So it's what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Listen, anybody out there listening to this, whether you're, starting a business with a product or a service or whatever, get out there and do stuff. Like you can't just be sitting there thinking all the time. You got to get out there, try some stuff, figure out what works and what doesn't. Um, so something else I wanted to touch on is we kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier that, you've been doing really, really well, right? Like you said, you hit 7 figures in sales last year, which is phenomenal. So what do you feel like has changed most dramatically or shifted most dramatically in your product development process as your company has grown?
I have outsourced a lot more
Mm,
of the actual design, and I have um, found a number of different designers to do different aspects of it, for varying in price for what type of work that I need. I kind of know who I can use for what aspect of that design, and then who to come to for more of a consultation, like a theory type discussion. Um, I mean, it sounds simple, but I know where to go to get a prototype now, and I didn't know where to go to get a prototype before. So that's very helpful. And I also know that I have to move very fast.
mm,
You could go through a year in no time. I mean, a test mold takes 45 days, 60 days sometimes, to make and ship. Could take less. But then creation of a mold takes a month or two, and then you've got to run some inventory, so that takes some time. So you're looking at 6 months, like if you start today, to get inventory, if not more. Then you got to put it on a boat and sea ship. So yeah, so that's like another 90 days. So yeah, so even more than 6 months, 8 months or so. So the time goes super fast. So draw a bunch of different designs, consult with someone who knows about manufacturability for
mm.
whatever materials you need, and then get prototyping, get going.
I love it. I love it. Well, and something I want to understand a little bit better because we all have like kind of our niche, right? Like as you know, like as an entrepreneur, when you first, especially when you first get started, you have to wear all the hats. Like you got to have like some understanding of like pretty much every aspect of the business. So as you've grown, how have you decided like, hey, I need to outsource the design piece as opposed to anything else?
Yeah, so something that might surprise people is I don't have any employees.
Mm,
I just have freelancers. And I think that people look to hire way too early. I mean,
yeah.
an employee is going to be your most expensive thing, pretty much, single expense that you're going to have,
Yeah.
besides inventory maybe, and seller fees and things like that that just come off the top. But you know, you really need people on a project basis. And today we've got this, freelancer economy that is great for that. Tools like Upwork and Fiverr to find people
Yep.
around the world. And it you just weren't able to do that 10, 15 years, maybe 15 years ago. You weren't able to find, people that would work for, $7 an hour that will do this graphic design for you. I mean, USA, you're looking at $30, $40 an hour for a graphic designer, and I've got one for $10 an hour
Yeah.
overseas, and they do just the same work. So, not like I have anything against hiring Americans. I certainly have, and will continue to. But, you've got to save money and save costs, especially early on. You're going to be in the hole, almost no matter what you do,
Hmm.
for a while. So you got to figure out how to get profitable and just be as lean as you possibly can.
Yeah, so I absolutely love that advice, and I feel like it's something that people can overlook. Like you said, people they want to hire, like truly hire somebody. Like, hey, I have an employee that works for me for my business. I get there's like something to be said for that, I guess. But the nice thing you're talking about, like this kind of gig economy that we have anymore, is how scalable it is. So like if you're to have like a crazy busy day with a ton of meetings and all this stuff, you can ramp up your your VA, your virtual assistant, to say, hey, I've got a lot of stuff going on. But then, 2 weeks later, you're diving in deeper into some research project or other, so you don't need them as much. You scale them back. And I feel like people just miss out on that. And I think it's been hugely helpful in my business, and I'm sure it's been really helpful in yours too.